interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gonna give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
What is up? Happy Thursday night. Big week for the UFC. Big week on Remember the Show, episode 92. Those of you who join us live, we appreciate that you remembered the show tonight. My name is Jason Anik, joined as always by my man Bulal. Remember the name Muhammad. Love to hear about a fight coming up for this guy. Jesus, like, I don't even want to ask anymore. I didn't even think I was going to, but I see your face. It just pops in my head. You look great. How are you, brother?
What's up, my brother? Yeah, I think now we're basically at the point now where it's just waiting to see what happens with Usman and Leon. So just praying, hopefully we get what we deserve, but who knows?
Yeah, it's like it's already here. It's unbelievable. So
yeah,
we're
2 weeks away.
We'll take it one day at a time. Ain't going to be anything break-in for Team Muhammad tonight, unfortunately for you. So we'll roll right into topics. We were dark last week. I know you got a lot going on, a lot of hustling going on, big things happening in Chicago. But we'll start with BA, all in. Brendan Allen, main event. Allen, dude. So finds out late notice he's going to be the main event. Gets the finish. Dude, so I went to Vegas this week, by the way. Already came back. I was actually out there with John earlier in the week, not going to the event. But as soon as we land in Vegas, first person we see is Brendan Allen. And dude, he couldn't have been happier. Fresh off that win. He didn't realize how close. I think he finished the fight like 4:25, maybe 30 seconds left in the round. But he didn't even know it was that close. But you must be thrilled for your boy. Gets the choke. Performance of the night. 12th ranked middleweight. 27 years old. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, honestly, like I tell people all the time, I think he can definitely be a champion. He has all the skills, and when you look at him, his mindset, everything, he's right. And when he's on, he look like a champion right there. Like I told people, he could beat anybody in the division. He has those fights where people are like, oh, he lost to this guy or lost to that guy. But I think now it's all coming together now. His last couple fights, he looked really good. For a guy, even when he called out Munoz, I'm like, oh, hey, relax a little bit, bro. Let's chill out. Why are you calling out this guy for? There's better matchups for you. Because obviously Muniz is a killer on the ground. He broke Jacare's arm. He controlled Uriah Hall, who's on a big streak before that. And Uriah Hall was close to a title shot if you would have beat Muniz, I think. And for Brendan Allen to go out there, dominate him, and finish him on the ground, where he was supposed to be the best at. Like, it showed how good Brendan is. And I know he's sitting there calling for – he's mad about not being number 11, talking about the rankings and stuff. I'm like, bro – like they need to give him a top 10 guy. I feel like he's earned it to fight a guy that I don't think anybody wanted to fight. And obviously I do think he should be ranked higher. And when you're looking at records and when you're paying attention to little things that, he's something like, bro, look, Costa's record in the UFC is like 6-4. And when you're looking at it, you're like, it don't really make any sense. Obviously those guys have a bigger following. I think Brendan is better at fighting than all those guys, but I told him it's just gonna in due time, but don't get on the mic and call out number 14, 15. And then randomly call out like your title. I'm like, bro, call out A for the top. Like, you could be fighting for the title right now and beat either Adesanya or Pereira right now. Like, I think he's at that level with his skill and everything.
And it's fascinating because you remember, like a couple fights ago, I remember him just being in the octagon, kind of like fucking around in there a little bit. You know what I mean? Just like messing around, talking. He talked a little shit, but not too bad this time out. But he definitely seems mentally in a different place. And that, I almost didn't blame him a couple years ago when I saw him doing that. I was like, dude's 25 years old. I think he'll figure it out. But it's very interesting to see you talk about the call out. Yeah, I think he really wants Jack Hermanson. That fight's electric for me. I'd love to see that one. I hear you. I think ceiling is championship. You like him facing Jack? You got to like that matchup.
Yeah, that's a great match. There was like one time we went to the PI and we're eating like lunch in the PI. And it was like me, him, and I forgot who, me and Lewis Taylor was with us. Boo Boo. And then we're sitting there, and then Chris Curtis, who's like super nice, comes up, hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? And he comes and sits and chills with us. And then Brendan's like, yeah, man, I want to fight you again. Like, we're all just chilling. We're all just like eating, telling stories. Man, that was a great practice. What do you got later on? Oh, I got this, and this. And Brent's like, man, I can't wait to fight you again. And I'm like, what? Like, he's so like nonchalant with it. It's like so funny, but he's like being real. Like, you can't fake it.
Exactly.
But he's not, like, out of anger. Like, they were like chilling, they were joking, and he's like, man, I just can't wait to fight you again.
It makes sense.
It was like awkward. I'm like, bro, what's going on here?
But you think about it, you're a nice guy, right? It's like when you and Wonder Boy fight, it's like the two nicest guys in the world. It just got to happen. But it is interesting. He loves Chris Curtis. He says he's a great dude, but yeah, he wants it back. So,
Yeah, obviously the competitor in him wants to get those losses back. And he always says that too. So like, regardless, I think Chris against Gastelum is going to be a really good fight. That's coming up pretty soon. So he said he wants to fight again in June. I think Jack Hermansson would be a great fight, great matchup for him. And he's an established name in the division. And Jack beat Chris Curtis. So Brandon beats him. He moves up even higher than him. So I like that matchup for him.
I love it. All right, moving on. Darren Till. So granted his release, according to Till, he's got big plans to execute. I just want your take on it. His last fight in December against Dricus du Plessis, he had some moments in the second round. I mean, I know he's lost 5 of 6. Robert Whitaker came out today just with some comments saying how, it's like it couldn't have been his performance, even that, he's sort of still has a huge following. So talk to me. What do you know? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he came out himself and he said that like I didn't get cut. I asked to be released. And then he came out with something else saying that, I'm trying to get my knees right, healthy, and I may have to inject myself with some things to get fully healthy. So I think he's going like the Conor McGregor, right? Hopping off, getting out of the USADA test pool, getting out of steroids for a little bit, and then getting back to 100% healthy, I think, because he's gone through a lot of injuries. Yeah. And then knee problems are the worst, especially for a guy like him I could just tell he trains hard because I was down there fight week with him, and he's going hard fight week. So I know he's going hard in the gym room, and you don't want to do that. I'm sure all these injuries keep happening. Knee injuries are the worst because they always keep coming back. We saw with Dominic Cruz, one of the guys who was like out for like 3 years or something because his knee injury would keep happening. So for Till, he's still super young. I think leaving the UFC for a year, maybe 2 years, getting fully healthy like he says he wants to, obviously he'll make big money somewhere else because I'm sure he's getting a lot of big offers. But I don't know if he made like a side deal with the UFC, like, yo, all right, you'll be out of the test pool, do your thing, get fully healthy, don't fight for nobody else, and then come back. So I'm interested to see what happens with it because I know bare knuckle boxing is for sure calling him to try to get that Mike Perry fight because I think that'll be a huge money fight.
Dude, and look at that television transition by the great Belal Muhammad. So moving on, that card, dude, what is it? April 29th, Denver, Colorado. Dude, Luke Rockhold, Platinum, Mike Perry, main event. Like, where do I sign? And then what, Mendez, Eddie Alvarez? Like, come on, man. Like, dude, I mean, I do have – Mike Perry moves the needle for me anyway. But him and Rockhold, I mean, I saw some Rockhold in fierce shape. You got to be excited for that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Mike Perry, like you said, he's must-see TV no matter what. And even his fights that were in bare knuckle and even in the other boxing fight, like, he's doing well. He's doing really good outside of that. He beat Michael Venom Page. So he's enjoying himself doing that thing. And Rockhold's another guy where you want to see what happens with him. He had an exciting fight, his last fight in the UFC with Costa. And Eddie Alvarez, who was supposed to be on the show today. So hopefully we'll get him on the show next week. He saw my Philly comments. And he's like, bro, hold up. I got to talk to the guys to make sure it gets approved. So next week we're going to have Eddie Alvarez, the most violent man ever. So but I want to see him in there, right? You already know that Chad Mendes is going to be steroided out. So I want to see how Eddie Alvarez comes out.
Well, and Cody was saying Rockhold can't kick. So that'll be interesting to see, but Rockhold's got some height on Mike Perry, no?
Yeah, he got some height, but Rockhold is one of those. I don't think he has fast hands. And I think that, he's a pretty boy. So once you're getting hit with bare knuckles, you see your eyes start cutting open. You get extra scratches over there. I don't know if he's going to be wanting to stay in there that much longer with a guy like Mike Perry who loves blood. He loves that type of fight. So he's going to go in there hard. And, we see it right there, 6'3" against 5'10". I don't think it's going to be an issue for height-wise Mike Perry, especially since there's no grappling, there's no kicking. Mike Perry is going to be in his face the whole time, and Rockhold drops that lead hand a lot. Mike Perry throws big overhands, big hooks, and honestly, I'm putting Mike Perry as a favorite here.
I love it. Well, it's like with Masvidal's boxing event in Milwaukee. It's like some of these matchups, man, really move the needle for me. I had a similar reaction seeing this bare knuckle thing as I did that boxing event. Speaking of big events, May 6th, Aljamain Sterling going to defend his belt against Henry Cejudo. Interesting enough, I mean, Cejudo's had basically the same layoff as Jon Jones since beating Dominic Cruz for the bantamweight title. Beneil Dariush on that card against Charles Oliveira. I'd love to see Dariush get a title shot, but I guess that's the next best thing. Just give me your early thoughts on Aljo taking on the Olympian Cejudo.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great fight. That's one of those fights I want to see Cejudo back. We're seeing him sparring with Demetrius Johnson. I love the way they spar because it's not like crazy hard. They're not trying to kill each other, and it's very technical. And that's what we do a lot of here in Chicago. So it's like you learn a lot from watching this stuff, and just watching Cejudo's YouTube page. The way he's so good at breaking down fights, breaking down things. I want to see how he's going to break down a guy like Aljamain. And we already know how good Aljamain's grappling is, how good his wrestling is. Cejudo's the Olympic gold medalist. Right. So I want to see what Aljo does now that he's going against a guy like that. But their first fight with him and Peter Yan defended a lot of his takedowns. Aljo, the second fight, he figured out different ways to take him down and jump on his back. We really have never seen Cejudo controlled on the ground. He got taken down a couple times by Demetrius, but other than that, nobody's ever really beat him in the grappling department. So if it's going to be all stand-up fight, that'll be definitely a fun fight for us to watch too.
Physically, I'm just very interested. Here he is.
Hey,
joined now
up,
by a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, if I'm not mistaken. GM3. What's happening, man?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
The beard is a little bit furry there. I see what's going on over there in Miami.
Yeah, I'm roughing it, man. I'm at my Airbnb. I just haven't shaved in a few days. You know, when you got this much testosterone coursing through your veins, stuff happens. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
I'm seeing all your freaking pictures now. I'm like, bro, where's all these pictures in Chicago? Like, we don't get none of that extra stuff in Chicago. You're taking random pictures. You got a photographer with you.
It's not me. That literally people every day come in there and they're like, I randomly get sent pictures. So I'm like, oh, I guess I have stuff to post now instead of, just random old stuff.
So Belal, we obviously talked about your appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, and you're just talking about some of your experiences and training with some wrestlers, if you will. But just for those who don't know, I introduced Gerald as a black belt. Just bring us back to the lack of a mention there on the Rogan Experience.
Yeah. So apparently, when my good friend Bulal gets under the limelight, he kind of forgets all the people that are helping him. And the funniest thing about that, Jason, is there was like 3 legitimate black belts that were helping him the entire time. And he was like, oh, yeah, all I did was work on like my wrestling defense. And I was like, that's what I told you to do. Because he asked me, like, what ground stuff were we going to work on? And I was like, absolutely none. You're not going to be Damian Maia level jiu-jitsu in the next, 2 months. We're just going to make sure he doesn't take you down. And that was the whole thing. And he was like, yep, all me, no black belts, by myself, all me, all day. That was the blunt honest story.
Dude, I apologize.
Hey, he asked. I don't know what you did.
No, that's on my fault. So anyway, we're going to move into UFC 285 because it beckons. And Bully, we're going to actually start with the main event. We usually sort of bring it up and do the main event last, but we're going to dive right in. So Jon Jones won the the light heavyweight championship, for the first time over Shogun Rua 12 years ago. But it's interesting, 12 years ago sounds like a long time, but 25% of that time is the last 3 years when he's been totally inactive. It's like Belal remembers every round of every fight he's ever watched. I don't have vivid memories of Jon Jones competing in the octagon, right? It's been that long for me where I'm excited to see what I get because it isn't as vivid for me as I know it is for Belal. Gon fought twice in 2022, lost Francis Ngannou in January, then came back, big win, Tai Tuivasa in Paris, France in September. Bully, we're going to start with you. I will say before I let you go, everyone I talk to, everyone I've heard loves Jon Jones. I was just in Vegas. I bumped into Aaron Bronstetter. He's on the island with me, absolutely giving Ciryl Gane a chance. I'll get into it more. Bully, start us out. Who do you like in the main event?
You were just in Vegas for a couple of days and then you left? Or?
So I left, but yeah, I was in Vegas. Jon was doing some voiceover stuff. So I was there Sunday. I came back today, got up at 2:30 Vegas time, flew back today. Sometimes he was there for a long time. Sometimes I go different times, but sometimes it's nice for me to sit home and watch the pay-per-view, to be honest with you. So
yeah, I'm on the edge right now because I got tickets to the fight.
You do?
Yeah, I got tickets. So I'm sitting there trying to thinking if I should go tomorrow or not to watch the fight, because I just got like approved for the tickets. But like the flights are like $700 to fly down there right now, and I'm very cheap. So
well, you're gonna have that championship money soon, so that's all right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know,
so the next Jon Jones fight, I'll make it too. But yeah, it's one of those fights. I tell people all the time. Like I was sitting there going back and watching a lot of the Jon Jones fights now, even with the UFC. The highlights they're showing are like his earlier fights now. They're showing Machida highlights, him against Shogun, and they're going back to the earlier days when I feel like Jon Jones was hungry and he wanted to go out there and finish these guys and go out there and put on crazy shows. Later on, when he fought the Thiago Santoses and the Dominic Reyeses, I think he was just like bored kind of, because none of these guys really made him that hungry. You know, he dominated everybody. When you're winning for that long, it's like, who are they going to bring me now next? Thiago Santos, even when he fought John, he was like 3-0 or something, or 4-0 at 205. It wasn't like one of those where he went through a gauntlet of guys to get there. He beat all the veterans. He beat the Glovers. He beat Rampage. He beat Machida. He went through all those guys. I think later on, he just like got bored with it. I think this Jon Jones looks hungry. And just when he talks about his mindset in all of his interviews, people are like making fun of me when I talk about the mindset, but mindset's huge. And Jon Jones just seems like a predator. Like he wants to kill Ciryl Gane. And Ciryl Gane just seems like happy-go-lucky. Like I'm just here to enjoy that. If I lose, whatever. That's what I feel like Ciryl Gane has. And I don't think Jon Jones has that in him at all. Stylistically, I think people keep saying, oh, Cyril's more athletic heavyweight, but Jon has fought athletic light heavyweights. He's fought all these athletic guys, so he's seen it all. Cyril is athletic to guys like Derek Lewis and guys like Tai Tuivasa who are just like plodding forward, walking forward, and just all they can do is just bang with you. Jon's going to do the same stuff that Ciryl could do. He's going to side kick you. He's going to grab head control, elbow you, and then he could also wrestle you. The fact that Ciryl got out wrestled by Francis Ngannou tells me that Jon Jones is going to take him down pretty easily. And I think that once it hits the ground, Jon Jones is not a black belt, but I think he's going to finish it on the ground. I think his ground and pound is black belt level, and he's going to hurt Ciryl. And I think Cyril's he's going to break in there. So I'm going Jon Jones, TKO, third round.
Gerald, you on the same side or what?
Yeah, honestly, I more or less agree with Bilal. I'd say to go into greater detail, I do agree that Jon can do everything on the feet that Gane can do. So that kind of gives him, because usually Ciryl Gane gets in there and his whole thing is I can be faster than you and I can have more finesse. That's not going to be the case with Jon Jones, right? And he's also not really going to have a reach advantage. Even when some of these other heavyweights, maybe he doesn't have a reach advantage, he'll definitely have a speed advantage. But here he's not going to have either, theoretically. We haven't seen Jon Jones physically fight at heavyweight, but it doesn't sound or look to me like he's going to be any slower than he was, when we used to see him fight. So there's no real big reach advantage or speed advantage on either side. So then it comes down to technique. Ciryl likes to move around and play around a lot, and like he'll throw a lot of kicks, but he'll hang his hands low a lot because he's used to that reach advantage, and he'll like throw that like little snake licking jab out there to set a lot of stuff up. Whereas Jones can play the outside, but he uses a lot of long guard a lot, and he does a lot of wrist trapping at distance. And Ciryl Gane's not used to someone fighting him like that. And I think where the difference is going to be is where Jones can fight on the outside. He's also going to close distance and be able to fight on the inside. Ciryl Gane generally fights on the outside and then exits. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have somebody who's skilled on the feet, just like you are, but is also skilled in the clinch from a striking and a wrestling perspective, that could lead to problems for Gane because he's going to end up in a spot where he tries to run away or back out. All of a sudden, he gets trapped and Jon Jones has wrist control on you. And, maybe he doesn't take him down the first time or the second time, but he's threatening takedowns and he's landing little elbows. He's landing shoulder shots. He's making you uncomfortable. He's making you open up and defend when you don't want to. And that's going to lead to a downhill battle. And eventually, I agree with Bulal that Jones is going to get a takedown, probably even by a trip where he's going to cook him against the cage and get an easy double leg. And then, look for the TKO.
God, man, I feel like you guys sold me a little bit. And I bumped into Aaron Bronstetter in Vegas, and he likes Gane to win this fight. The 3-year layoff scares him. but for me, there are very few people. You guys basically just sort of sold me on it. I guess I'm wondering a little bit, and I'm not even talking about the physical images of dude with his shirt off or his legs, but I'm just wondering, is the heavyweight is the heavy? I was just looking. Shout out Booger Beer. Just seeing his mug on the screen, I can't get enough. I love it. But I guess for me, Jones physically, I'm very curious to see them physically against one another. I'm just curious to see Jon Jones physically, but it doesn't sound like it's going to matter much to you guys. I think maybe some of the physical tools, just the athleticism, the way he moves quickly, maybe he's not going to be as bulky as I'd like to see him. But it sounds like you guys see no issue with his physique.
Have you seen the picture of him?
I have.
What do you think of the picture?
Me?
Like, people are like, "Oh man, this is Jon. All he did was eat pizza." I'm like, bro, like, what did you expect him to be? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, exactly. And you could just see his brothers in the NFL with their shirts off. I'm sure Chandler Jones isn't yoked either. His brother's successful defensive end. I guess for me, I just did expect maybe that his legs would be thicker, and maybe that means nothing. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. His legs have always been small, and like if you look at his build, he's naturally a lanky guy. So it makes sense to me that he looks like this. A and B, as far as looking a certain way and being strong in a certain position, there obviously is some correlation between muscle mass and strength. Absolutely. However, you're talking about a guy in Jon Jones who's wrestled for a very big portion of his life and wrestled competitively when it's just wrestling, and someone in Ciryl Gane who is not. So there's, even been plenty of guys that I've, fought or trained with before that have all the beach muscles in the world, but they're just not used to that time under tension like I am, and they don't know how to use their body weight. They don't know how to move right. Even if you are in fact stronger in a push or a pull, if you push or pull the wrong direction at the wrong time, that could actually lead to problems. So I don't think that Ciryl Gane looking more like a comic book superhero is really going to necessarily help him in the wrestling department. Because while strength does matter, absolutely, I don't think it's going to be as big a difference as people think it looks like it is. And on top of that, the technique is just so out of whack that, like, if you're just strong enough, it's still going to be in Jon Jones's favor.
The layoff, Bully, 3-year layoff. Any thoughts on that for Jones?
A little bit, just because we saw his layoff last time, and when he came back and he fought Owen St. Preux, he just looked very slow. But like I said, that could be another thing. Like, he's not going to wake up and be hungry to fight a guy like Owen St. Preux. I think for this one, he said he's been training the whole time to go to heavyweight. So I think he's been hungry these last 3 years. And just seeing the guys that he's picked to work out with and train with for this fight, I think he picked the right guys. Like the big ticket Wall Harris, he's very athletic, he's very fast, and a couple of those other guys that he has in there, like, those guys mimic very well. And just the little snippets he showed, I know Chael Sonnen was like, all he showed us is him in the pool, Yogren De Castro, Maurice Green. Yeah, those guys are all active fighters right now. So I mean, he's going to get a good read for himself of how he does with those guys and how he compare how he's going to do in the cage right now. But Chael Sonnen said he's showing us his pool stuff. That means he's injured. I'm like, I don't know. I think Jon is like one of those guys that he's very calculated with everything he shows. He only shows little stuff because he wants you to think a certain way. I don't think it has anything to do with injury or anything like that. I think he just doesn't want to show what he's going to do in the fight.
So many smart people just love Jon Jones to see that number at -170. None of us bet on mixed martial arts anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I think from everything I've heard, I think there's tremendous value on Jon Jones because all the smart people seem to love him. Moving on, another title fight. The females, Valentina Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso. If Erin Blanchfield was the challenger, I think I would probably pick her, and I'm not even kidding. I like her physically at 23. I really do. I don't know if Alexa Grasso is the right one to dethrone Valentina. I'm just going to leave it up to you guys. Gerald, start with you. How do you shape this one? Do you give Alexa a puncher's chance?
Yeah, I mean, it's MMA. We got 4-ounce gloves on. Anybody can knock anybody out. You zig when you should have zag, and that can be, lights out for you. But I haven't seen anything from Shevchenko that would make me think she can't win this fight. Does Alex Grasso have a chance, or Alexa rather? Yes, absolutely. I think her best chance would be maybe like keeping it in boxing, but the problem is we can throw elbows, knees, and kicks. So even if you're at a boxing range, Shevchenko can bring these other tools into play, and she's pretty good with trips and little off balances. So, um, you know, and like who knows? Maybe Grasso's been working on some other stuff. Maybe she sees something that we don't see. She's a good fighter. You know, absolutely deserves a title shot, and there's nothing against her. I just haven't seen anything that makes me think that Shevchenko won't win this fight.
Bully?
Yeah, I mean, Gerald's just so good at like breaking down fights. That's why he breaks down all my opponents. Like, how could you lose when you have a guy like that? I just think that, yeah, I don't think there's really any place that Alexa is better than her. She's very good with her boxing. She has good technique, but she doesn't have that crazy power in her hands. She doesn't have crazy wrestling. She's decent everywhere. Like I said, there's a puncher's chance there, but I just think for Valentina, after that last fight being so close, I think she's going to come into this fight a little bit more hungry, and she's going to like prove to you guys, like, you guys must have forgot. Like, this is what I am. I'm the champ. There's nobody on my level, and I'm going to show you guys. Oh, you guys are talking about this new girl coming up. Like, I'm going to show you what I could do to these people that you think can come compete with me. Like Alexa, I think she got this title shot because it's not, you know, it's kind of a dead division. I'm excited to see if Blanchfield comes up or Tatiana comes up. But, yeah, for Alexa, Mexico's riding hot right now, but I just don't think she's going to do it.
Shout out Tatiana Suarez, by the way. That you must have loved seeing that last weekend, huh? Both of you guys.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was so good. That was for that time off to show how good she is. And her opponent was really good too. She was tough. But Alexa's Tatiana's a beast. I want to see her stay healthy.
Yeah, I'm with you. So we're going to make one more bick, but there's so many fights that we have to touch on after we make the last bick. So I know this line isn't close, but I'm a little surprised that this line is as far off as it is. And Bully, I'm fascinated to hear your take on this fight. It's a big one here. I mean, I give Jeff Neal a little bit of a better shot than 4-1. I know he battled some health issues, but he's won 2 straight since. The knockout of Vicente Luque looked like the old Jeff Neal to me most recently. Rakhmonov, man, I mean, it's like these guys, some of these guys, they haven't, with COVID and everything, it just hasn't been that much of a volume of work to get behind. But this guy, you know, hadn't lost. He submitted Neil Magny, I think back in June was his last time out. Bully, start with you. Is this line out of whack to you, or you think Rakhmonov has a huge advantage here over Neil?
Yeah, this line is crazy, honestly, especially for Neil. And you're looking at level of opponents who each of them has fought. I mean, Rakhmonov is like his only ranked guy that he's fought is Neil Magny, and we all know Neil Magny sucks. But stylistically, I think that for Neil, he's a hard guy to take down. He's very strong. He's strong. He's fast. He's a southpaw, and he got really good boxing. We've seen Rakhmonov get rocked a couple of times in a couple of his fights. We saw the Brazilian Cowboy rock him in the fight when they fought, and we've seen him outside of the UFC get rocked before. But for a guy like Neil, who's got really fast hands, good takedown defense, and just being a southpaw, awkward movement, he definitely got a shot. And I think that this line is crazy. For me, if it stays on the feet, I'm giving Neil the edge. Because Rakhmonov, he's good on the feet. We saw him get a spinning head kick knockout, but like I said, level of opponent, I don't think that person was on his level. And Rakhmonov is kind of, he's slow. He's very like calculated with everything he does. It's timed. And his ground and pound is really good. His body locks are really good. But like I said, Neil is very strong. He's talking about this is going to be an easy fight for me. I'm going to finish him. Like the confidence from Neil is something that like we haven't heard. We don't really hear him talk like that. And I know that Safe Cejudo's been doing a lot of work in Vegas with his guys. I think Jeff's been over there too, doing some work with strength and conditioning work down there too. So I want to see how this one comes out. For me, if it stays on the feet, I'm going Jeff. If it hits the ground, I'm going to go Shavkat. If I'm picking a pick.
I mean, Instagram, we're going to have to see the Bick.
There's going to be a circle. Days. If I'm going to circle one, I'm going to circle Shavkat because I think that he's going to weigh on. And we saw Neil. Neil's just one of those guys where one fight he looks great, the next fight he loses to Neil Magny. Like both of them has fought Neil Magny, and that fight when he fought Neil Magny, he lost, and Neil Magny like outgassed him and weighed on him with clinch on his head, clinch on the body lock, and he got tired off of that. And Shavkat's really good in body locks and clinch in those situations. And I think that if he does that, he can weigh on Jeff. Hey,
as long as the first round finisher doesn't get Bilal's name anywhere near their mouth Okay, that's all I care about. Gerald, who do you like?
I do agree that I feel like the line is kind of far out. My money's on Shavkat, but 4-1 seems like a lot. I mean, 2-1 or 3-1, I think would be even pretty big odds, but would seem more normal. Only because I would give kind of just I don't want to say technique. I don't think that Neal necessarily has like the clear advantage on the feet. I think he has a power advantage, maybe. I think if he does land, he generally throws a little more heat behind what he does throw. Like maybe it's not like Shavkat's going to have more of the style where he's probing with a couple things and then he's going to set something up big. Whereas when Neal throws, even in his combos, every shot's got some heat on it. You know what I mean? So if he does connect with something, you're going to feel it. I think Shavkat maybe will be a little bit slicker on the feet. So that's, on the feet for me is a little more of a toss up, and maybe I'd edge toward Shavkat just because he'll kind of dance a little bit. They're going to be in a bigger cage. He'll be able to like use his space a little bit more. And the one thing that also makes me think that Shavkat's got a little bit of edge on the fight is that when Neal defends, he generally just shells up. Like he does move his feet pretty well, but he'll punch and cover. So when you know what a guy's going to do to defend, and you can kind of make that read, you still got to watch for kicks or power shots coming your way. And like Belal said, with the Neal Magny fight, that's what gives up those clinches easier than it should sometimes. Because if I know your hands are coming straight up to your head, your entire legs and midsection are open. And Shavkat, he can look for body locks, but he can also start by shooting low too, and then coming up to the body lock. So now if Jeff Neal sprawls, he can, either he finishes a double, he comes up to a body lock, or he can even circle around to get the back of Jeff Neal and have him on the ground. And that just to be able to have that option to kind of mix it up and threaten the potential takedown and, threaten the clinch like that and dictate more the distance of the fight itself. As long as Shavkat doesn't let Neal land something crazy on him, I think he can kind of dictate the space the fight takes place in, and if not finish, get a decision.
Yeah, both guys going with the favorite there. No surprise. All right, dude, this card. I mean, your boy Bo Nickal, Bulal, is like minus 2,000. You got me?
Yeah, we got you.
I mean, Bo Nickal, I know you know him well. He's been on the show, Bully, but it's unbelievable. I mean, does Pickett have any shot whatsoever? I mean, are they just throwing him to the wolves so Bo Nickal gets a dub in his first? I mean, apparently it's because Bo Nickal is the real deal.
Well, Gerald, you trained with him, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I had a chance to work with Bo, I think before he had any fights. So yeah, I mean, he's obviously his wrestling base is going to help a lot. Just his style of wrestling is going to blend very well with jiu-jitsu and with control for MMA in general. So, and he's already been competing since he was a kid, very athletic. He's a lot stronger than what his like build would suggest. I'm not saying that he doesn't look strong, but he's, stronger than he looks because he's got pretty much a lifetime of wrestling.
It's funny. I just saw a picture of his body today. Like, they took the picture of with the clothes, and I was like, he looked like very odd. Like it didn't look like there was abs or anything. I was like, man, what the heck? This guy's that. Yeah. Like when you just said that, it just like clicked.
Yeah, no, he's got a very big like bone structure. So it's like you can only pack on or look like you have so much muscle, right? But he's, like I said, I worked with him. He's a strong dude. He's tough. He's got a long history of competition and stuff like that. So he's going to be tough for anybody. I don't really see how Jamie Pickett is going to win this fight. Again, he could catch him with something. Everybody's got a puncher's chance. But I've seen Jamie Pickett a couple of fights. I think his best chance would be to just come out and throw something, like throw a flying knee, throw something big and hope it lands, pretty much. Unless he's been working on the ground and is way better than he's shown in some of his previous fights, I don't see how you're going to stop, decades of wrestling pedigree along with Mike Brown coaching you and having some of the better training partners for wrestling in MMA. Like it's just going to be too much. I think too much for him. That being said, crazier things have happened, but I would figure that Bo would take him down and beat him up pretty big. Honestly, the one thing I would like to see is like the last couple of times Bo Nickal came out guns blazing and like wanted to get the finish. He actually kind of like gave up some positions he didn't have to. And obviously he, it's hard to say give up, but like he could have kept a couple positions and like marinated it and got an easier finish than like one time he fell off and he got the triangle, right? So maybe even don't go for like speed and be like, I want to keep all my finishes under this amount of time. Just like go take him down, control him, and like dominate him. Just beat him up, like truly control him,
Right.
and like make either get the TKO easy or make them give you something to like really let everybody know that like, there you have no chance. It's not just I'm going to take you down and scramble for something, but I'm going to take you down and hold you there, and you're going to be helpless.
So you don't approve of the Bo round 1 sub at plus 140? If you're his coach, you're telling him, no, relax, let's go to the second round.
Hey, the first round is 5 minutes. So, you go 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that's plenty of time. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to jump on them and do it in like 30 seconds is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to like put yourself in this mind, like, oh, I got to get him out in the first 30 seconds, the first 60 seconds. And then you give up a position to a guy that like, shouldn't ever get a good position on you. And even though you don't lose, it's like, well, now I got to fight back from this spot when it's like you could have just made it easier for yourself and be dominant across 3 or 4 minutes instead of like scrambling in 30 seconds and like potentially, why risk putting yourself in a situation where you can take a weird elbow or get hurt somehow where it's like just an annoying injury and it's like, well, you could have avoided that whole thing.
I was literally going to say that with, remember Brendan's fights in LFA when he would just make everything a scramble when it hit the ground. And his last fight, he was like so good at just staying in side control or staying in guard. I was like, he's growing because his old days, Brendan would just like go to mount, go to the back randomly out of like for no reason at all. He'll just like jump from position to position. And then it'll always be a scramble.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually when he came to the gym after that, Henry complimented him on what good of a job he did as far as the maturity and like shot selection, coolness under fire. And like you said, I'm going to take this position. I'm going to be dominant. I'm going to cook you here and land my shots. And either you're going to give me something better, or I'm just going to sit here and beat you up. And that's what you love to see in a young progressing fighter.
So, Bully, I want to ask you about this lightweight. Yeah, Cody, we're on the same page. This fight,
God.
just fire. So, dude, interesting for Jalin Turner. You're supposed to get Dan Hooker. Nope, Mateusz Gamrot. I bumped into Mateusz in Vegas, and he couldn't have been more happy to get the short notice opportunity. He's like, so nice not to think about this, and now I'm just here to fight. And it's kind of interesting. You think, Bully, think about this. This is the endless camp for you, right? And he just all of a sudden gets to fight and let's go. So he was fired up. I think it's a fascinating matchup, a different matchup. Bully. Who do you got?
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at Jalin like, why? Gamrot's one of the best wrestlers, grapplers in the division. And, he just nonstop shooting on you. And he's a guy that we've seen grapple with the best guys. Like, I know he lost to Darush, but those scrambles in that fight were crazy. His scrambles with Diego Ferreira were crazy. With Armin Sarukian, like those fights were all nuts. And I don't know if Jalin has that scrambling ability in his arsenal. We've seen Jalin lose a fight to Frivola because he got taken down and held down. He's been killing his last 5 fights. His stand-up is great. I think he would have walked through Dan Hooker easily, and it would have been a big name to have on your resume. But to like go from a guy like Dan Hooker, who's a big name, all he's pretty much going to do is strike with you. You're probably going to finish him on the feet. To a guy that's going to shoot on you 55 times per round. I don't know if he had a training camp for that type of fight. But when you're hearing his interviews, he's confident. He don't seem like he's scared. He's not nervous at all. I think he wants to prove something. He says, I want to be a champion, so I got to be able to beat all these guys. And I like that mindset in him. And I like that he's willing to fight anybody. That just shows how good he thinks he really is. And this is a huge name for him. So if he beats this guy, you're within like 1 fight away from a title fight, I think.
Yeah, and like Erin Blanchfield, I think a lot of people are like, "Whoa, you're going to take Andrade on short notice?" Well, look, now she's probably potentially the title fight could be her next out. So do you like Turner to win the fight?
I mean, I want Turner to win the fight, but I think Gamrot's going to win the fight.
Gotcha, Gerald.
Yeah, I hate to agree with Belal on every pick so far, but I haven't seen anything from Turner that makes me think he's going to be able to stop the Gamrot takedown. And, it's one of those questions where maybe if Turner had been preparing for somebody with a more grappling-based approach, he'd have a better chance. And again, still, this is where, the big cage can favor the striker more. If he uses it correctly, he could use his length to potentially, stay a little bit lower, work the jab a little bit more, shows some snap kicks up down the middle and some uppercuts to keep Gamrot honest and kind of dance around the outside and pick his shots and make him shoot from a little too far out and, get some easy defenses to get his confidence up and kind of shut down the grappling attack. But that's really hard to do against a guy who does not care how many takedowns you stuff. He's just going to keep shooting and body locking you and shooting. And then it's, with that much real estate, then you got to think about, if you're Jalin Turner, okay, am I better at defending takedowns out in the open, or am I better against the cage? And not just am I going to have a better chance against a specific opponent? Because Gamrot is really good in the open mat. So it's like, if you want to dance around, you want to be able to control the middle, but now you're an open mat. So if he gets a hold of you, that's kind of dangerous. Against the cage, I've seen more people defend Gamrot's takedowns, but there again, Turner's not like the best wrestler. And if he just starts to defend against the cage and say turns his back, Gamrot's really like an all-around grappler. He's not just a straight wrestler. So he will jump up and backpack you. And now, that generally doesn't end well for guys that aren't comfortable doing that kind of stuff. So that's a really tough late notice matchup for Jalil Turner. But again, if he's smart and he does it correctly, I would still bet my money on Gamrot. But if he does it correctly, he can use a long jab. He can use movement. He can keep at bay Gamrot in his shots, make him take a couple bad shots. But it's just going to be a very tall order. So, if I was going to put a percentage on it, I'd say like 70% on Gamrot, 30% on Turner.
Well, obviously, you can check out Bully's Bics on Instagram. You're going to get all the fights. But, dude, this card's deep. It's a good card. Probably should have stayed in Vegas. So, Bully, you going to go? You still don't know, huh? You're still on the fence.
I'm on the edge. I know Chicago's about to have a snowstorm tomorrow. I don't know. It's like 6 inches. I know that some of us aren't man enough to stay in Chicago, so they go to the sand and the sun. But, us guys that love training in the trenches, I love the snow. I love being in here, flourishing in it. But it's cool though. It's all right. I'm sorry. Did you say something?
When was your first fight? Wasn't your first fight like 2014 or something like that? I've been fighting for like almost a decade longer than you. I've done my time in the cold. Let me enjoy the sun and the warmth. My old bones need the sunlight. All right.
Yeah, and no gray in that beard whatsoever, by the way. Just nice, clean, brown, red. I'm telling you, man. Boys look young with those beards.
How's camp going for you out there with an enemy territory? You and Gilbert going out for breakfast and stuff all the time, or what? What's happening out there?
No, it's going. Dude, it's funny. The first day I came in, I start jumping rope, and Henry sees me, and I'm like next to Gilbert jumping rope, and he's looking at Gilbert. He's like, hey, you see him over there? I'm like, dude, come on. I just got here. I literally haven't done anything. Like, I'm not saying nothing to nobody. I'm not like, I'm out of this. I'm here for my fight. Like, and he's fighting somebody else anyway. What is this? This is ridiculous. But no, yeah, camp's been going good.
Another guy that's a card. I'll be down there on that card too. Shout out to Nacho. Nacho's gonna be on the card. So
Nacho Bahamondes.
Huh?
Bahamondes, right?
Yeah, Ignacio Bahamondes. So if you want to be in our locker room and not in Gilbert's locker room, let us know. I'll save you a seat so you can chill with us.
Okay.
And we get breakfast or something beforehand. But it's gonna be cool down there.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great having to see you with Gilbert and all his people and have you guys talk trash to each other the whole time. It's like the nicest dad jokes back and forth.
Yeah, you guys were together. What most recently when Jared was fighting? Just hanging out.
It's going to be great when I see the two of them in the same room and Ali takes both their phones and starts tweeting back and forth from their accounts.
I love it. All right. On that note, we're going to get out of here. We appreciate you all being with us. Episode 92. Remember the show. Special thank you to Gerald Meerschaert III. We appreciate you as always, dropping knowledge, clean breakdowns, by the way, Bully, out of your boy. Anyway, for the great Cody Merrow,
he's one of the best.
Dude, no question about it. Remember the name. I hope you got a fight to announce coming up soon for the hell of it. But hey, I hope to see you in Vegas, or at least you see your face on camera. Go to London, Bully. Back up the welterweight championships. This is ridiculous. Anyway, for everybody, my name is Jason Anik. We'll see you next Thursday night. Remember the show. Peace.
Peace.